Good evening to my co-host and to our audience. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Welcome back to our podcast, the Anarcho-Syndicalist Film Club. This week's film is Jingle All the Way, 1996, selected by today's Pip, Sheldon. The date is December 19th, 2020, and we are 23 weeks into this online experiment. As always, spoiler alert if you haven't yet watched the film.
I guess we'll start with binary opinions. Christian.
I like this movie, but running through the system, it didn't beat the 7 check mark.
So it's a thumbs down.
A minor thumbs down. Very minor thumbs down.
All right, Zara.
A thumbs down for me.
Thumbs down. Ying Li.
Can I give it right in the middle?
Sure.
We have the most interesting binary opinion.
Making exception. I'm giving it big ol' thumbs up. Has anyone seen this movie previously?
I thought I didn't, but I have.
Yeah, the moment I turned it on, I was like, oh, I've definitely seen this before. But I couldn't remember any of the plot lines. It's definitely something that's been on, and I've looked at it and been like, huh? And like changed the channel.
Yeah. I saw it, I want to say like 10 to 15 years ago. So I've seen it, but not meaningfully in any way.
I think this movie is to me what The Grinch is to you guys. So for me, it's hard to separate like the nostalgic feeling that comes with this movie, like, that maybe The Grinch carries for you guys as well. So for me, a lot of my enjoyment was influenced from that. I'm not going to try and separate it because I think that they are tied together and really can't be separated. But let's just start with, what do you guys think this film is about? What is its primary message? If it has one, if you think it has one.
I'm trying to think. You gotta dress up as your child's favorite character. Pro tip, parenting 101. You could be as absent as you want most of the year, as long as on Christmas Eve you wear your child's favorite. I'm kidding. I don't think that's but that it was kind of funny how it turned out. But it might have something more to say than that. So I'll let someone else take it away.
It's certainly a message of having to beat the Christmas rush. So you have to buy, hot toys a few weeks at least in advance. But I think there's also a more heartfelt message in that, and this is just something I got. I don't know if it resonated with everyone else, but it's that what's most important is spending time with your family and not about the material gifts that you get. Also, don't yell at your kid.
No, don't yell at your kid. Oh my God, poor kid. They're right. I forgot who told them that he's gonna need a lot of therapy.
I feel like for me, I feel like because everything was super ironic, there isn't a Christmas message. The message is like, screw Christmas. We can make money off movies. Woo, we're having a party. Like it has nothing to do with the Christmas spirit to me. It's like in your face that it's not Christmassy. And like every time they have a message, they like defy the message later on. Like they're like, don't yell at your kids. But then when you see your kid again, your kid will immediately forgive you because they're a superhero. So it's okay. So that's how I felt about every moralistic take. There's like something like that. They're like, believe in Santa, except when Santa's a con man, and then beat him up in front of the cops and then lie to the cops. Like, yeah, there's no moral to this.
I think one of my things is that it's not like a lot of movies we've seen in that there's so many different plot lines that run through. I was watching it this last time and I was like, oh my goodness, what's his name? Howard is going through like 7 different hoops to get this toy and to get to the finish line in less than 90 minutes at that, which I think kind of lends to the problem of looking for a central theme or a central message, just because there are so many stories with their own.
It just feels like an adventure movie. He has this mission that seems straightforward, but there are a lot of different things that he needs to overcome before he finishes it. And yeah, I think that's just characteristic of a lot of comedies. it start off, okay, we're going to this place, but then they're like, they meet someone, and then they get in trouble. And I feel like it's just a Christmas version of that.
It's like a Christmas fetch quest, a never-ending Christmas fetch quest.
In movies that are written well, or at least movies where there's like a quest, where there's something to do, like the actual achievement or failure of that quest it's not what the movie is actually about. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's that MacGuffin that the character is trying to get, and then as they're reaching it, maybe they achieve it, maybe they don't. But as they go through that process, they realize that that's not what's truly important. I think here we kind of do have that moment where he does fail, but then it's in the last like 3 minutes where Jamie's like, I don't need Turbo Man.
Turtle Man.
I don't need Turbo Man. I got the real thing at home. And it's just like that payoff definitely doesn't have enough building up to it. But still, I think for me, comparing this to last week's horror movie, The Grinch, I feel like they have this similar criticism of I don't know how well the criticism of the materialistic culture around Christmas is in Jingle All the Way. Maybe you could say that it's a horror movie in the way that, you know, the guy who opens the door at the department store gets trampled on and he probably has to go to the hospital, as well as, you know, all the horrific exposure of the Santa Claus ring of toy peddling con men. But I think there's that similar theme in these two movies where, you know, it's this infatuation with getting the latest toy for the kid is, you know, not what Christmas is about. I think definitely there's very valid criticism on how this film portrays that and addresses that issue and tries to offer solution or the messiness of its criticism. But I think there is that element to it.
The gift theme almost feels like a trope now for Christmas movies. It seems like the go-to message whenever there's a Christmas movie and maybe a kid is involved. You could probably just guess the theme or message of a Christmas movie before you even sit down in the movie theater. But I guess the execution is different, so that's what you're there for. A different form of entertainment, different style of comedy between the two films.
Yingli, did you have a point? Or
I was just gonna say it's just like wacky to me that you can take. I'm not hating on your perspective on it. I just feel like because they cast Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is like very well known for not being with his family and not being like a good Christmas father and all that, like father in general, is cast for this movie where he can be an action star in a Christmas film. Like, it's purposely making fun of Christmas movies and making fun of itself. And so I feel like to read in a message is kind of like, it's not worth it for this movie. This movie is meant for us to be like, yeah, I love punching elves. Like, I was having a conversation with my mom, and she said when my grandpa was still alive, he used to see us watching America's Funniest Home Videos, and he would be like, why are you guys laughing? It's not funny. That kid got hurt. Like, why are you laughing at that kid fall down the stairs? And we'd be like, no, it's hilarious, Grandpa. This is for us who are like watching kids fall down. So we love violence, we love pain, and we're watching people be in pain on Christmas and enjoying the Schadenfreude of it all. But it's not about Christmas to me. It's about watching people be evil. It's like watching people on Black Friday cameras. That's the joy I get out of this.
It did have a Black Friday feel.
Yeah, I guess there is a Schadenfreudeistic element to this. There are many people who get hurt in many different ways.
Yeah. And it's always joyful. It's joyful when everybody gets hurt. It's joyful when the scene changes and Arnold gets a chance to like punch someone in the face. And they always end the scene with him saying something like, that was cool. Like, ooh, that was fun.
Yeah.
But it was still a good romp. Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's definitely very slapsticky. There's a lot of physical humor and stunt work, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? When you bring that up, I never got tired of that. I feel like sometimes it can be overdone, but by the end of the movie, I was like it still had surprises. It still had dumb little moments. The reindeer running out of nowhere, like, you know, they had the setup and you just didn't know which of the many setups they were going to play at that second.
Yeah. Punching the reindeer is a pretty genius story element. Like,
they were like, let's
PETA
make
come for them?
Arnold grab a kid in the face, punch a reindeer.
Mhm.
Happy Christmas.
Kick a flaming head out of a window,
Oh yeah.
statue head, and scatter the carolers.
When I saw that moment, I was like, oh, I recognize this scene. Of all the scenes, this is the one most familiar to me.
Maybe it was like traumatic for you somehow, and this brought it back up, and you were refamiliarized with this internalized trauma. Hopefully not.
I guess I have to go to therapy with Ron.
With Jamie.
No, not Ron Howard.
Ron Howard.
Maybe.
Yeah. I guess while we're on the topic of, you know, Ingli brought it up that this, like, there is a lot that happens, and, you know, they really do pump this full of like nonstop slapstick comedy and action. Did anybody feel that the pacing was too intense? Was there anything that you would have done instead, or anything you would have rather seen in the movie? Or, you know, what elements would you have liked to see fleshed out a bit more, or maybe were fleshed out too much?
I definitely remember like sitting and watching, and I looked down for a second and I looked up and I didn't recognize the scene. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting movie whiplash. But it was packaged fine. If it was longer, the thing is, if it included more scenes or like swapped out scenes, I wonder if I would have been like, wow, I'm sitting here way too long for the payoff of this movie. But I also don't know what I would have gotten rid of. I think I'm not that creative when it comes to slapstick, so it worked for me.
Similarly, I don't know what I would get rid of, but I think looking back on it after the movies ended, I kind of think to myself, how does all of this happen in one day? He goes to just so many places, and I don't know what the traffic is like in Minneapolis, St. Paul, but is zooming from store to store, mall to mall, weird port warehouse place, and then back to the parade. And by the time you get to the parade, I think it seems like it's 4 in the afternoon. It's kind of, I don't know.
Probably requires you to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, I mean, it does a good job in that regard. In that I'm not thinking about it while I'm watching the movie, but once I'm out of it, I'm like, huh.
My guess is he was at the first mall at 9 a.m. just before the toy store opened. So that it's from 9 to 4, which is like 7 hours. I think it's doable. It's doable.
Yeah.
But he goes into the city and then he comes back home or back to the suburbs. And then I don't know where his house is in regards to the whole thing, but I find it kind of dubious.
And with a broken car.
And with a
He had to get it towed. He had to wait for the tow truck to arrive.
He also had to push. He had to push the car to the nearest diner where he could call someone. And then after he came back from the radio station, he saw that his car is like in bare metal now, and now he had to call the tow truck. So he had to wait for the tow truck, and the tow truck drove him home. So even that portion of the movie should have taken maybe 2 hours, but I don't know.
That's true. Tow trucks never come on time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was the world's fastest tow truck, and I never questioned it in the movie. It gives me very not that I've seen the whole movie, but Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where things are just happening. And then whenever they cut back to school, they're like, oh yeah, it's still the school day. And Ferris is like still doing stuff outside.
Maybe the junkyard was like right behind the diner. So the tow truck only had to, but then why would they drive him all the way to his home all just to loop back? Yeah, I guess they're
just having a nice winter drive with no snow outside.
Yeah.
The parade had to be earlier than 4 though, right? Because here in LA at 5 p.m. it's already super dark. I'm assuming in Minnesota, it's gonna be darker at 4, and you're not gonna have parades by then. So, yeah, there's just no. I don't think there's a sense of reality and space and time in this movie.
Yeah, they shot a lot of the film was shot in the Minneapolis area. I think the parade was shot in LA at one of the studios, so gives them more daylight to work with.
Makes sense. I will say the parade was such a delight because I was just comparing it to like the Macy's parade in New York, which I remember like looking out the window when I was a kid and enjoying. So whenever they had a character I recognized, I was like, wow, I love that. Wait, how did they license that character? Wow.
They got a lot. I counted a whole bunch of them. I just listed them. I didn't number them, but there were many recognizable properties in that parade.
I was like, Bert and Ernie, what are you doing in Jingle All the Way?
Yeah.
They just loaded all the Times Square people onto a bus and transported them over for a quote-unquote real gig. Oh, well, actually, Hollywood has its own that kind of scene. So
but Times Square also has it.
But yeah.
Did Hollywood in '96 have that?
Oh, I don't know. I was most confused by the Gumby appearance.
Oh my God,
Gumby to me. I mean, I understand there was like the Gumby movie in '95, but that movie was a flop, and Gumby's Time to Shine was in the '60s. I don't know. Yeah, that was the only character. Well, aside from the Cat and the Cat, but that was the only like parade character that I could tell you was in the parade at this moment, so far away from the film.
Maybe Gumby was really popular in Minnesota or something. He had a much more reach and appeal in the northern Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, if Gumby has lasting appeal to this day as a memeable character and beloved creature, even though we don't know anything about the story of Gumby, then I feel like it's plausible. I saw him and I was like, wow, this movie is perfect meme material.
Was this movie ahead of its time? Did it anticipate the memes it would generate? The second life it would have in the age of home video and streaming? Do you think the filmmakers were geniuses in the way they created the film?
They were prescient. It's like what I was saying last week with because I watched Watcher review their top 5 Christmas movies, and the fact that one of the hosts even mentioned Jingle All the Way, I think it's like making a serious comeback because it's also been on my like home TV. We have cable, but Jingle All the Way is being advertised every 30 minutes on my TV for like TBS.
Wow.
I'm like, why are you telling me to watch those? But now I know.
Yeah, this film definitely, like for the, it's one of those films where I think people consider it to be, so bad that it's good. It's got awful critic reviews, 15% Rotten Tomatoes, like 5 point something in IMDb, which isn't too bad. But I think it definitely has that people like me who see it at a young age just have that nostalgic quality attached to this movie forever. And so I can never watch this movie objectively, or it'll be very hard for me to.
You remind me of one of my friends who is, finish your statement.
Yeah, it's people watch The Room.
It's your thing.
And enjoy. Yeah, people watch this movie because it reminds them of Christmas of their youth, or there's just something so childlike about the way that the movie unfolds, about how it's got the Tom and Jerry cartoon quality and its humor that I think is easy for kids to enjoy without really understanding what's happening. And I feel like just having those memories of watching it attached to your current viewing of it just really help you kind of overlook all the movie's flaws.
I'm trying to figure out if this has been a Christmas staple, like in cable TV for the last, 2 decades, because I didn't know that I've watched this movie. But the only reason why I have watched this movie probably is it was playing in television, like, those Christmas TV specials, usually.
25 Days of Christmas on
the
20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's just like a seasonal thing, that this really happens every Christmas and I've just never paid attention. But I feel like I watched this more than once, never found out the title, never really paid attention, and I don't know if I've finished it or I've watched the ending at some like one Christmas I probably watched the ending. Another Christmas I watched like a good chunk of the middle, and just pieced throughout the years have watched the whole movie but never sat down and watched it. Yeah, I don't know if this is a Christmas staple, but I feel like it is.
Yeah, I think we're uncovering a deep mystery here where we've been subliminally programmed to watch and consume Jingle All the Way.
And we did it.
Guys, we completed the circle.
Isn't the grass greener?
So green as the Grinch.
Oh, man. Yeah, I definitely saw this movie on TV. I mean, that's the only place. Before this week is where I've seen this movie. Just running sometime around the holiday season. I don't remember. I don't know how many times I've seen it. Not as many times as Christian has seen The Grinch, but probably maybe around like 10. I don't know.
That's a lot.
Maybe less. Probably fewer. It's just it's part of me.
Do people own DVDs of Jingle All the Way? Because I know people own the DVDs of The Grinch, but I don't know if they own Jingle All the Way, because I feel like everyone watches it via TV.
Oh, for sure. Let's see. It was released on VHS in 97. November 98 was released on DVD. It was re-released in 2004 on DVD, followed by an extended director's cut. What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
In 2007.
There are 7 extra minutes?
7 extra minutes.
Uh-huh.
In December of 2008, that director's cut was released on Blu-ray.
Wow. I want this in Blu-ray.
Yes. The perfect Christmas gift.
There must be some avid fans out there.
Yeah, for them to release this over and over.
It's an 12-year period. It was released in 96 originally.
Well, I don't know if it necessarily needs to have an avid following for Fox to release the Blu-ray version. I mean, Jean-Baptiste says that supply creates its own demand, right? So build it and they will come.
I would believe it. Makes sense to me. Reminds me of all the like pirated DVDs that we definitely didn't bring home from random places in China. You know, it didn't matter if it was good or not. It was what they had.
Mm-hmm. You just end up with stacks and stacks of them because it's just the mentality to, oh, hey, this is cheap. Let's get it. Hey, this is on sale. I think it's got a big sale sign on it.
That's the time. Besides talking to my family during the holidays, I think we will just watch TV endlessly in silence.
That's the true meaning of Christmas.
Perfect.
Mindlessly consuming media.
That's definitely what I did with all of my college winter breaks. So they nailed me.
Nice.
That could be a new Christmas movie.
Are you announcing it here?
Yes. It's a little different, different take on consumerism during Christmas. It's not really the gift now. It's a media consumption. Seasonal media consumption.
Write a movie about watching Christmas movies and hating Christmas movies.
Yes.
And the moral at the end is that they come to love Christmas movies, aka Christian comes around and admits that the Christmas Prince has merit.
That's going to be a very meta Christmas movie.
This sounds like it's going to be a blockbuster. Let's get it in production.
Yes.
No need to write it. Let's just get the cameras on.
I feel like that's how most of these movies were made. It's like, we don't need to write it way before. Let's write it on the day, give it to Arnold, and let him deliver the lines. He is a scary dad. All of his lines with his kid, it's like, I want to make it up to you. I was like, no, Dad. And my dad when he was talking to the child, like, what can I do to make it up to you? I was like, oh, nothing that hit me.
He does talk to his son in a very strange way.
Yeah.
At one point, he calls him old buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
like a dog.
calls him Champ, old buddy. I think writers just enjoy giving Arnold dialogue, like American lingo, American slang, and putting it through his Austrian accent. I think is definitely part of the charm.
Definitely. I like that he has as much bonding moments with his son linguistically as he does with the reindeer that he previously punched.
I think he had more connection with the reindeer, though.
Let's give the
like
reindeer.
There was actual connection between the two. I feel like the connection between Arnold and his son is just, he's his dad. They had to have some connection, but the reindeer, there's no blood relation. It's just
they share a drink.
They shared like six bottles.
Classic.
Like they had something going on there. They're good friends, old buddies.
How do you guys think Arnold's, his reputation, his known performance limitations, his accent, how did that affect, the way the story was probably crafted around him, and how whatever enjoyment you took out of the film? How do you think Arnold as a person influenced that, or Arnold as an actor? Because you don't cast Arnold Schwarzenegger in something without knowing what he's bringing to the table, what sort of box office effect it'll have. But how did it affect your enjoyment?
My question is there such thing as Arnold as an actor? I feel like it's always just Arnold in any character. If you hire Arnold, you're not getting Mr. Harold Langston. Is that his name? You're getting
Howard
Langston. Although, you're getting Arnold. And I think they knew that coming in.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they want, because they even have the put down the cookie. Like they let him do a loud voice. They let everyone be like, whoa, cookies, around him. In the first 30 minutes of the movie, when they were still showing him as car salesman and driving out to the store and rolling on the ground with people in the store as they're fighting for toys, I was like, was this a mistake? Who chose him? What's happening? But the moment he started punching people and there was fighting, I was like, oh, these directors, whoever was pulling the strings on this one, they knew what they were doing.
I think it's just so fun to listen to him deliver any line, because it's always so hilarious how the script, you can kind of see the script in your head, and you kind of see it just being passed through his vocal cords and into the world, and it's just so enjoyable in any film, honestly.
He's birthing the lines with new life. No matter what he reads, when he reads it, you're like, wow, what did I just experience? And you reflect on the person who wrote that line and was thinking, yeah, Arnold's gonna say this, and then you hear it from Arnold and you're like, yes, that was Arnold. It's a whole experience.
I feel sort of taxing. For me, it's very enjoyable for the first few minutes, and then it sort of gets old. I'm like, I wish they had cast somebody else in this role. As I can watch clips of him endlessly, or not endlessly, but
endlessly.
Every a few clips every day, I'd be totally fine, but maybe not 90 minutes. Or Arnold.
5 ml dose of Arnold per day.
Wait, going off his voice, I know his voice is one of the most distinctive things, along with his appearance and muscle and ability to throw people. But I thought one of the funniest things in this movie for me with Arnold Schwarzenegger is just his expressions, because he genuinely looks like he's just reacting to stuff as it happens. Whenever he accidentally hits the cops, he's like, uh-oh. And I've never seen Arnold Schwarzenegger make an uh-oh face. So I thought that was very cute.
Are you saying he's good at reacting? Because acting, most of acting is reacting. Yeah. So what you're saying is that He's a great actor.
Legend.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
He should have gotten
one
an
way to
award
say
for
it is it's unique. I don't know if it's good in the acting sense, but it is unique and has some entertainment value that is different.
Yeah. It's like I didn't expect him to make faces. I didn't know what to expect, but when I saw it, it was golden. Like he could have had a deadpan face the whole time, and I would have been like, "That makes sense. It's Arnie." But anytime there was a slight expression, or like, "There's my son," like very cute. I've never thought that I would see that.
I think, yeah, if you can't tell, I am a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger's film career. It's just so fun to watch, like the development of his career. Like, he starts in these, I haven't seen his earliest work because I don't think I could sit through it, where it's just truly bad, like Hercules in New York, or I didn't watch Conan the Barbarian, which is a fun romp, but I don't think I could sit through Hercules in New York. But then, Terminator is what launches him, and then that's what he's most known for, the stoic, emotionless robot, which he does very well because he doesn't have to talk, he doesn't have to emote. But it's so fun to watch him really explore these other routes with Jingle All the Way, Kindergarten Cop, Twins, yes, Junior, Total Recall is another one of my favorites. So it's so much fun to just see him, just having a good time.
Flex his acting muscles. Is that?
Yes. Flex his rippling acting muscles.
Yes, they're just as big as his physical muscles.
Mm-hmm. Well-oiled, iron-pumping acting muscles.
I didn't know you oil muscles.
That's what you do, like in bodybuilding contests, right? That's why they're all shiny.
Yeah. It's like a presentation. I was thinking of like gears that you oil so they work
No,
better.
Not like axle grease.
He's like black with car grease.
There's an intrinsic quotability. I think it's all his performances. Even the lines aren't particularly, if you like, just the line itself is nothing out of the ordinary. Anything he says is instantly elevated in quotability.
Yeah, it's the novelty of him saying it. Like I think even if he delivered something shockingly well, I'd be like, whoa, nice. And if he delivered it shockingly bad, I'd be like, whoa, nice. So that's how I feel about anything he puts out. I will say my mom's reaction to me putting this movie on, because I had to watch it on the TV. It was the only place I could watch it for free. She was like, "Is that Arnold Schwarzenegger?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a Christmas movie, and it's about like him trying to find a toy for his son." And she was like, "Oh, that's funny. He's a terrible father." And my mom continued like in the first 10 minutes of the movie to go into a tirade on how his only son who went into bodybuilding is an illegitimate son of his, and all his other children just have to watch him like be proud of this illegitimate son who's now a bodybuilder. And I was like, is this what his children feel every Christmas? It's like living this movie. They have to feel the pain of father never being there and doing mysterious things to other people's houses. Like a little too real for me, but I tried to put that away.
His personal life is definitely very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a character.
He was in the Kennedy family. He married into the Kennedys.
Oh, yeah. I see most of the pictures, if you look up Arnold Schwarzenegger children, you would see his bodybuilder son. He would be hanging out with his bodybuilder son more than his quote-unquote legitimate. I mean, they're both legitimate because there's children, but he would hang out with his son from another mom more often than the other children who look more like their mother, and the other son is almost like identical, who looks very similar to Arnold. So I think he just sees himself more in that child, so he identifies and enjoys his company more. But that's a really bad basis of how you take care of your children.
Yeah, I feel like in real life, Arnie's probably just as good of a dad as the dad was in this movie. If not, the dad in this movie being possibly better. Sorry, Arnold, criticizing you from a distance, even though we're not bros. But it's just really almost awkward if you take that into consideration. It's hard for me to discredit that because like I do get uncomfortable even in watching my favorite movies when I know that an actor has been garbage to other people. Like I have a really hard time watching movies with Tom Cruise in them because I feel like he's really disingenuous to people. And so knowing how, like when I see Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator, I'm like, all right, he can be a piece of shit to people, right? But when I see him trying to be Christmassy, I'm like, this feels really sad. Like this feels like a betrayal of my heart. Yeah, I'm like, I can't see that.
Like, learn from your character, bro. And in the end, the credits scene that we had to wait. It was a while before I had to skip it through. I was skipping through the credits, and then he forgot his gift for his wife, and I feel like that's also very similar to his actual relationship with his wife in real life. So it's kind of awkward, very similar.
Yeah. Now, as the neighbor kid said, the advice he gave to Jamie was maybe your parents should get a divorce. It did wonders for my dad.
That was a pretty funny line. Yeah. The kid was so confident too. It's like, yeah, your parents got to get a divorce, man. It's life changing.
Yeah. Now my dad is he's the DILF of the neighborhood.
Oh my god.
Terrifying.
He's the DILF, but he's going for your mom.
Yeah.
He has his eye on her. He can choose anyone in the neighborhood, but he chose your mom, man. We could be brothers.
For her cookie recipe.
Yes. Oh, these cookies.
Well, you know what? I actually would have found it funnier if they never explained that, if he was just being a weirdo and he didn't have interest in Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife.
He's just a really weird guy
trying to hang out. I would have found that so much funnier. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna go for that, but they really just went for the stereotype of he's just trying to go for their mom. But it would have been funny if that's the reason why all the ladies in the neighborhood were so into him, because he was just like that to everyone. That he showed, like, give them so much interest and give them attention and hang out with them. But he never really had any interest in anyone else.
Oh, but he does. He like flirts with a lot of the other moms. It's like, oh, maybe you should come over sometime and share your recipe with me. Something like that. He's a fun character.
I feel like he could have gotten the Ned Flanders treatment from Simpsons. Like they could have been like, actually, he's a totally normal guy, and we just keep like punching him in the face for nothing. But given all the slapstick in the movie, I won't fault it for that miscommunication of that character or like his very late storyline. Maybe it was also more common to have more philandering in movies then. I don't know. I feel like I don't see a lot of so obvious philandering, so that's why I had trouble telling which it was.
Yeah, it's one of the movie's little subplots that I think is, it's added just to get the movie to that 89-minute finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And just another layer of comedy.
For sure. Does anyone know what he spilled on himself in the car?
Oh, yeah. Why did he say he smelled like vomit?
It was eggnog.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the thermos. And then...
Eggnog smell like vomit?
Maybe
I don't know. Like... I feel like it's not the most pleasant smell, but he described it as he smells like vomit.
It was just very bad eggnog.
Maybe he did vomit after.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, because she like whacks him in the head with a thermos. So he probably got a concussion or something. So after she got out of the car, do you throw up from concussions? I don't know.
I mean, possibly.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Because if you hit someone in the back of the head, they'll like lose their vision, and their sympathetic nerves are in their neck. So you can cause someone to vomit if you hit them in the neck hard enough. Fun facts.
I thought for some reason that, remember at the beginning of the movie where they said there's another toy that they just gave away. I mean, they just sold from layaway, and like a lady picked it up. I thought the lady was gonna be the mom, and in the end, they were gonna say, "Oh, I picked it up because I didn't trust you, so I decided to have a backup." And it would have been funny if he went through all that, and it turns out there's actually a toy at home. But yeah, for some reason, I thought it was gonna be her.
But remember, the film was about, it's anti-materialist, it's anti-consumerist, so she clearly could not have been the one. I don't know.
That's right. Instead of buying things on time, you should just never buy them and not buy into consumerism, but still have all the guilt of existing in consumer society and feeling pain. Perfect.
That's what my parents did. I never get these movies because as a kid I never anticipated like the latest and greatest toys or any really nice presents during Christmas, so I've never really let down. So I'm like, come on kids, get on that.
All the parents out there, give your children low expectations.
Yes.
So that, or teach them to always keep low expectations.
Save you money in the long run.
Yeah. Do you guys think that there is, was anyone put off by the ending of Sinbad's character, Myron? Did you think there was any sort of race issue or representation problem with that? You know, it's the classic white man wins, black man gets arrested and let off in cuffs end of the movie. Did anyone notice that? Or
I didn't know what to make of the end of the movie because it seemed like everyone was playing along with, oh, this is just part of the act. Myron and Howard are like the actual people and not, people who intervened in the thing. Everyone seemed to be like, hey, play along. It's part of the show, except for the cops. So I wasn't entirely sure if they escorted him away because they realized he was not the real actor. But then if they realized he wasn't the real actor, why didn't they realize Arnold was the real actor? So maybe that gets to your point, but I assumed, ignorantly or blissfully, that they were like taking him away as part of the show. So I think that fight sequence just sort of confused me.
they like point their guns at him though. There's like 10 police officers who pull their weapons and have them like aimed at his face. Which
for the longest time everybody was like, isn't this part of the shtick? It was like, isn't your son part of the whole deal? I was like, no, he's not. So I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it. I also thought that this was gonna be a duo movie because that's a common thing in comedy too, where they would have two different people who just meet and suddenly they take on an adventure together. Instead, they became some sort of they were kind of enemies, or frenemies, I guess, at some points. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it more if they went in this together.
Yeah, I feel like I liked Sinbad's character. So all of the fighting felt like manufactured to keep them like meeting each other. But the movie didn't have any reason for them just magically being in the same place anyway. So why do you have to manufacture them not getting along? Like, there could have been other characters that entered, or like stunt actors, for them to both fight. Like, there were a lot of other solutions for it. That was actually one of the things that made me like not want to give this movie a thumbs up, because I feel like they played him as they purposely played Sinbad as like crazy guy. Like, it would have been okay if the joke was just like, I work at the postal service and I'm like that one line that he gives, but they literally played him as like kid who doesn't have anything and uses it to take that out in the world. I'm like, that's cool in Batman, but why are you doing this now? This feels weird. And they had so much good out of Sinbad's character. Like, they were taking his screen time out basically to focus on these other plot lines with him, when he had funny quips and that kind of stuff, regardless of what situation he was. Like, I wouldn't say he was a redeeming factor in this movie because Arnie's already really good, like really funny to me. It was just like icing on the cake, but then it was like they put the icing on the cake and then they like put their hand in it when they like would make him fight Sinbad. I was like, why? I just want Sinbad to be funny.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's so and they also made him the man that Arnold didn't want his son to be. So they made that a point that this is the worst case scenario. After he said the story about, the stereotype of he doesn't have a dad his dad doesn't really care about him because he didn't get a toy on Christmas Day. But it's obviously more than that, but just an absent father. And it's just like a crazy dude I didn't think he was that crazy at the beginning because Arnold was in the same boat of really just wanting that toy. That's why I thought that they could have gone in the adventure together. And I think that would have had the same or maybe even more entertainment value added into the movie. But yeah, I don't know why they were so insistent about having them fight. Maybe it's for that surprise ending that he's gonna be the enemy, that they were gonna be part of the parade, and Arnold's gonna be Turbo Man, and he's gonna be Sinbad's gonna be the arch nemesis. Maybe for that, I think that's.
I think those are good points. We never see Myron's son. We see, Arnold struggle to be a good parent. And we hear Myron talk about, he's trying to get this toy for his son because, his father never got him a toy. And now he's built years of resentment on this one issue. But I think it would have been interesting to see, maybe at first they have that conflict, but they realize together that maybe this isn't the right path and they have a bonding moment. Have you guys seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yeah.
But
Steve Martin and
John Candy?
I have not seen it.
No.
It's another classic. Yeah, John Candy. It's another classic. Is it a Christmas movie? No, it's a Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a Thanksgiving movie.
It's
a holiday
Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah, but similar concept. They both had this one goal. They both try to get home. And John Candy really gets on Steve Martin's nerves, but through their journey, they come to appreciate each other. I think if there was some element of that in Jingle All the Way, maybe it could have had a bit more heart if the two men discovered how to be better parents together, how to be,
they probably both suck. So
yeah, Sinbad definitely was good in this movie.
I don't think Arnold's character was a bad dad. I don't think the film establishes that well enough in the beginning. He's just, I don't know. He's just, well, maybe
absent for the past 2 years.
Yeah, but it's not like he's absent for the sake of being absent. He's absent so he can make his family money, maybe excessive amounts of money. But I don't think that him being at work. Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
I mean, it depends on what your definition of a good dad, I guess. And if it's good or bad, stuff like that.
He honestly cares what his son thinks about him. He genuinely cares for his son's happiness. He might, forget about that occasionally, but I don't think that makes you a bad father.
Sure, he's not a bad dad, but he's not as
not
good as he knows that he's not as good as he should be.
Right, but and I think that cognizance is sort of a redeeming quality in that matter. Whereas if he were oh yeah, I am the best dad, or I am a good dad, because then you could say he is a bad dad because he's not even aware. But I think the fact that he is aware that he's sort of absent or missing out kind of pushes it in that direction for me.
I don't know if awareness is the redeeming quality, but I think the combination of awareness and willing to correct it is the redeeming quality, because like if you compare it to the Grinch was aware of the bad qualities of Christmas in Whoville, but he didn't do anything about it. Doesn't make him, better just being aware of it. Although not completely, he wasn't really focusing on the right things to redeem himself. He was trying, so.
I would say, like, watching a movie, I definitely can make the argument for him not being a terrible father. But if you look at the script, I don't feel like there's a lot of strong support for that, because one of the few times that he talks about, like, wanting to bond more with his son, he talks about the treehouse. Like, the treehouse scene where they're sitting in the diner is supposed to be one of those pivotal ones where he's, like, having a realization of what he wants. And what I hear in his dialogue is he says, like, I did this thing for my son ages ago, and back then I was the hero, which to me is very classic parent speak of, like, I did this awesome thing for my kid and they're so grateful that I'm awesome, rather than saying, like, my kid like got a lot out of this. Like, he does mention my kid loved it so much that they made food in it and everything. But to me, it feels really short, but I may also have high expectations for Christmas movies if they're trying to pull that family line. Like, I expect more selflessness if they're trying to actually make that argument. So I think he's just a normal dad, not understanding dad who goes into the school when all the lights are off and thinks that the show might still be on, like dumbass dad.
Right, yeah.
It was such a long time because, like, they already packing up. Like, they've already packed up most of them.
I don't think he's a good father. Yeah, not a good father, but not a bad father.
He's in the gray area.
He knows he can do better.
Right.
Who knows he can do better? He doesn't know how, though, until the end of the movie. Because even towards the, like, we were at 3/4 of the way. His idea of being a good father is being the one who gives it to his son, right? He was able to deliver some material thing that he worked on, I guess, like with love, the treehouse, and now he's trying to apply the same thing that he thought has worked for the past few years in this toy, when all along he should have just been present as much as he could while providing for his family. That was his lesson. If there was any, sort of, it was his lesson.
Yeah, I would have to agree. If you had to boil it down to one, right at the end when they try to wrap everything up tight, they definitely hit that note pretty strong.
But you still have to give your wife a gift. Don't forget that.
Oh, another scene that I really liked, I just had so much schadenfreude delight out of it, was when Booster fell off the float and everyone started beating the crap out of him.
Like, nobody likes you, Booster.
I felt bad for him. He was kind of cute. I wrote down in my very little set of notes, give Booster some love, man. No one's buying his action figure. The kids don't like him. At least for the snippet of the TV show that we saw, he doesn't really. There's nothing to dislike about Booster, at least from that minute of Turbo Man. But everyone dislikes Booster. I felt bad for him. He's supposed to be the cuddly.
He's got fangs.
He's like fluffy and pink.
Yeah, poor Booster.
The kids.
That was a good running joke. Everybody just hates Booster for some reason. It was good.
I'm glad it's unexplained, so I can.
Yeah, we were just like, why do they hate Booster? Like, I would buy Booster merch if like, oh, no more Turbo Man. Okay, I'll buy a Booster action figure.
Were there any other particular moments you guys enjoyed in the movie? Anything else that stood out? The bomb.
Oh my god. That was pretty funny, but
there's a lot of great scenarios.
The bomb scene, I think, is the one that I see in like almost every Christmas, but I didn't know where it was from until now.
Was that a real problem in the U.S. postal system, where people would be sending bomb packages, and that really wow.
We had, well, like I mentioned in the history section, Ted Kaczynski just got captured, and media's coverage of the Unabomber and his attack sort of was on the public psyche. Maybe not through the 90s, but very recently.
Good to know.
Yeah, I feel like this movie was right on the dot with like it's like it had cultural markers in it that made sense. I was like, wow, this is the most historically timed movie we've been watching so far.
Did you hear when they're in the mall and Arnold yells like, he got two balls, and everyone jumps on Myron. As he's getting tackled, Myron yells, Rodney King. Like, what? Oh my goodness.
Wait, they have another scene where Sinbad starts talking about racism, but then they overhear something about the toy and they just stop the conversation. They knew what they were getting into.
Yeah. The 90s.
They played that card and they still arrested Sinbad. How dare they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is definitely not one of those think hard movies. It could be, as we've been doing, but I don't think it was meant to be. Did everyone enjoy the copious amounts of Christmas music in the movie? Was it clear that this was set during Christmas time from all the, 10,000 Christmas songs in it?
I would not question that this is a Christmas movie in the same way that I would question occasionally if Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
There's a tweet. Someone said, Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. It's a Harry Potter movie. The main character sneaks around a tower at night, avoiding Alan Rickman. That's about all I have for this film. Anyone has anything else they want to discuss?
I think last week we'd entertained the idea that we would try to pin the next two movies to, so this movie and Klaus, to the Jesus story. Did you come up with any allegory or analogy there?
That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Who would Jesus be in this movie?
Would it be the kid, Jamie?
I could think of Jamie as Jesus and Arnold as like one of the three kings.
That's because Jamie is
getting a gift, but the king who probably didn't have a very easy time getting a gift for some reason. But I don't think that's part of the whole story.
It's chiefly because the kid is the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker.
Whoa.
Oh, and he was also the chosen one in the parade.
Yeah. Oh.
Whoa.
Okay. I like this. So we have established that Jamie, played by Jake Lloyd, is the chosen one. How far can we take this?
I don't know. Oh, and he embodies, in the end, he gave what he wanted for, quote unquote, wanted for Christmas to someone who needs it more. He ultimately had the Christmas message and the Christmas ending here.
Maybe,
he forgave their sins.
Yeah, he forgave Myron even he almost killed him.
If we consider Myron, if we think of him as maybe some form of the ghost of Christmas past, he would be the Holy Ghost in the Trinity. So we have the Father, Arnold, the Son, Jamie, and the Holy Ghost. And the dynamic...
They fight each other.
They do. It's the conflict. The conflict's innate to Christianity.
The Trinity.
Yeah.
Trinity conflict. Something, a new concept that we've introduced.
I think this works.
I think this is reaching a little
Star Wars. Now there's Bible Wars.
No. There always was Bible Wars.
Yeah, lots.
There's lots of material. They have 9 movies worth of content. I mean, VeggieTales made it through.
All right, we'll have to pay special attention next week.
Oh yeah, I feel like it just comes to you, like and when we were saying that she was, Jesus. I think we didn't really think about it. It just comes to you. If there is a character who is Jesus in a Christmas film, we would feel it
That's the Optimum Jesus. You feel the Holy Spirit move within its weird character story.
I think the Puritan viewers would have to disagree with that. Very evangelical sort of interpretation.
Are we going to rebrand as the Anarcho-Syndicalist Bible Study?
This is
I don't think so.
This is a very interesting Bible study.
All right. Are we moving on to scores? No. Unless someone else has something else to bring up.
Oh, it's just, what a delightful movie. But we can move on to scores.
Sheldon.
I gave this a 7.5.
Oh, that's lower than I thought.
Yeah,
I was thinking of putting it higher.
Surprised.
But I kind of tempered my enthusiasm to make it a more believable score.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yingli.
5.5. The way I would describe this is that this is a movie where, like, if we're not already friends, or like we're just starting to become friends, and someone's like, "Hey, want to hang out for Christmas?" Be like, "Yeah, we're gonna watch Jingle All the Way." But I'm not watching this by myself again.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I think this is more enjoyable with people who you could laugh along with, but I mean, you can enjoy it alone, but I think to get the ultimate peak level entertainment value, you need other people who will enjoy similar kind of comedy.
100%.
I think I could watch this alone. I do a lot of things alone. Sarah.
I gave it a 5.
My spreadsheet says I gave it a 6.995. Because I do like this movie. So a 7, yeah. And that is an average score of 6 1/4.
Nice and even.
Which
not my worst film.
What was your worst film? I mean, I think we should exclude
Children of the Corn.
No.
Oh, Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Was your worst film?
Is that your worst film?
6. Yeah, I'm looking at our spreadsheet.
You don't have anything lower than a 6?
Mm-mm.
What did
Sheldon, so many bangers.
Yeah.
So the highest rated film of the past 4 weeks is Jingle All the Way.
Whoa.
What?
Well,
that says a lot about the quality of
the Grinch movie rounded up to 6.25, but it was 6.18 something, which I remembered. And our lowest rated film the last 4 weeks, I guess.
Christmas Prince.
That just about wraps up this meeting of the Anarcho-Syndicalist Film Club. There's a lot more to discuss, so please offer your comments using the hashtag ASFC on Facebook, Twitter, or your favorite social media platform. Be sure to join us next week as we discuss Klaus 2019. Catch you on the floopity floop.